Hi everyone. First of all, at the outset, I am thankful to the Rajagiri think tank for giving me this opportunity. As we all know, India is internationally renowned for its culture and heritage, and the gender norms about which I am supposed to speak are all grounded in this culture, in this rich culture. India is a tradition-bound society characterized by its patriarchal notions and rigid gender norms that foster gender division of labor, prevalence of gender stereotypes, the double standards of morality and sexuality, all which end up in women getting entrapped in the vicious circle of poverty, hunger, joblessness, landlessness, and sexual violence. Such issues related to the vulnerabilities of women in India and across the globe also it is there. These are all getting more and more exposed during these COVID times. Perhaps this exposure has led to a reawakening related to discourses on enhancing the marriage age, textbook revisions, and the implementation of unisex dress code for students in several parts of India. And now I would speak about these gender norms one by one. As per the traditional gender norms, even the birth of girl children receives lesser importance when compared to that of boy children. This has been highlighted by some of the previous speakers. The women's space is preferred to be in the private sphere, unlike that of men who dominate the public sphere. Definitely, changes are happening, but the pace of change, as mentioned by the first speaker, Anupama Ramachandran, the pace of change is so slow that we cannot afford it in this decade of action. We know the 2020-2030 has been designated as the decade of action by the United Nations in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And it is at this time, this slow pace cannot be tolerated. The gender norms embedded in Indian culture overemphasize the gender roles of women as wives and mothers, or as homemakers and caregivers, whereby marriage is considered as the life goal of women. Accordingly, during the socialization process, the mental horizons of young girls as they grow up are narrowed to their body, and they are constantly reminded about the reproductive functions to be taken up in their future. Majority of girls fail to overcome such rigid gender norms, especially when insisted by their parents, and in order to get them married and all, the parents often use lot much of emotional blackmailing also. Even those who are able to interact with family members and have been able to negotiate a delay in marriage, they also fail to question the centrality of marriage in everyone's lives. A number of factors, including the traditional gender norms, lack of parental awareness, inadequate adolescent counseling and awareness, lack of informed choices, smaller number of high schools in rural areas, poor accessibility to schools and colleges, and which got aggravated during the pandemic when the classes got shifted to the online, and among the students who lacked digital devices to access the online education, majority there are still women. Because I have conducted a nationwide exhaustive survey in which 112 for girls and 550 boys from higher education institutions were contacted. And you know, the results are so disappointing, how girls are denied even a mobile phone by the parents, and the younger brothers, they are given a mobile phone. Of course, they raise questions regarding the safety, what a previous speaker has said about the cybercrime things and all. But anyway, girls are denied access to education. And unemployment even among the educated. the type of escalating violence against women, all these lead to end up in early marriages of girls. The dowry system also forms an important aspect in promoting early marriages, where parents come up to say, the younger the girls, the lesser is the dowry. So let us get her married off at the younger age itself. The increasing trend in elopement and the inability of parents to provide informed choices complicate the issue of marriages. Lack of livelihood options in the Indian context, and the gender norms that overemphasize chastity of girls. These are all matters to be considered while we discuss the marriages. The reproductive role of women. It is always the focus of attention when we speak about women's development, with less importance attached to the productive roles of women. Such gender norms hinder the economic participation of women both in the labor force and in taking up entrepreneurship. I am reminded of Jawaharlal Nehru. While stressing the need of economic empowerment of women, he once opined, dependents are never free, they are slaves to the providers. Yes, women who lack economic independence naturally become slaves to the providers, whether it be the father, the brother, the son, or husband, with no decision-making power with regard to their very, very personal matters. The gender norms also promote the male breadwinner concept and the subsequent protectionist approach towards women. Women who are to be protected naturally may not require higher education or employment or access to land and credit, because they are being protected by the man. Thus, instead of promoting the higher education and career aspirations of women, the gender norms mandate marriage of girls. After marriage, what happens? The educational attainments or skill training become difficult due to familial responsibility, and there is every chance that the girls give up their career aspirations after marriage. It is in this context that we are discussing the need for enhancing the marriage age of girls from 18 to 21. As today, the age of onset of puberty has also come down. Earlier it was 13-14 years, but now it has become 8, 9 or 10 years in the case of girls. Children are exposed to sexuality much earlier in life than before. There is an increasing trend, I think everywhere. In Kerala, it is definitely sure. As a counselor, I encounter much of such instances where young girls in high schools or +2, they are ready to elope with their boyfriend. Enhancing the marriage age may lead many children to risk unsafe abortions and face stigma. All these things we have to think about when we enhance the marriage age, and also when we think about women's development, how it could contribute to or how it hinders women's development. The very gender norms, they are also responsible for the role conflict of employed women who have to manage the work-life balance with the culturally entrusted, unrecognized, unpaid, and unshared household chores. Here also changes are happening, but the pace is very slow. Similarly, the cultural norms that accept men as leaders form a major factor responsible for the lack of women in leadership positions. The reason for the glass ceiling that women face in the academic, in the corporate, religious, or political leadership and decision making. When we speak about women's development, these norms are also important factors. Another challenge faced by girls is the lack of sexual and reproductive health, right, which provides them the information on sexuality, right to take decisions on whether to marry, when to marry, whom to marry, access to contraception, etc. But girls are denied such SRS rights also. They are denied the decision-making power pertaining to their own body. Unfortunately, even the comprehensive sex education, that's a great program with so much of prospects, it is not getting implemented in our schools and colleges on the grounds that it was not there in our culture. Girls are denied the right to take decisions on their course, their career, and may have to take up courses recommended by others or prescribed by others. Thus, Our girls, they are not even aware of their voice, their space, or their rights in a man's world. Lot much of gender sensitization and awareness campaigns are required for the masses. Gender norms also expect women to keep silence on the face of violence. All of us know the discredit that has been come up regarding India to be the most dangerous place for women to live, the report of the Thomson Reuters. Once a woman speaks out about the kind of violence she has faced, she will have to face a lot of women blaming also. The policies and programs as listed by my previous speakers and the protective legislations enacted for ensuring women's development, their safety and their dignity all fail to attain the prescribed targets because of the overwhelming power of the culturally, traditionally, historically supported and deeply internalized gender norms. As mentioned by the previous speaker, the implications of gender norms vary with the intersectional status of girls and women. And when we think about girls or girl children, we are naturally more concerned about the adolescents who face a plethora of challenges today, including limited access to what I said about the SRH rights, high rate of anemia, limited access to counseling and legal services, less interaction with the family members, then limited peer networks, peer pressures related to substances and sexual activity. You know, there are several girls, several schools in which having a boyfriend is mandatory. And some mothers have brought children to me telling that their daughter is worried because her classmates are making fun of her just because she is not beautiful enough and she is not having a boyfriend. So such kind of pressures, peer pressures are there. And the social barriers connected to discrimination, early marriage, pregnancy, limited control over financial resources, and consequently a limited capacity of decision making. All these are issues faced by our youngsters, our young girls. So there we have to think about the girl child and her development. So here I am not going to speak anything about the way forward because I think we will have time afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you.